Good afternoon. Today we'd like to change our service a little bit. We're calling it a celebration of life service, and we'd like to do things a little different than we have before in the past with this. And so without any further ado, we'll get started. Teachers can learn as well. As she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children an untruth. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. However, that was impossible, because there in the front row, slumped in a seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he did not play well with the other children, that his clothes were messy and he constantly needed a bath. In addition, Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would actually take delight in marking the papers with a broad red pen, making bold X's on them and putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past record. She put Teddy's off until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners and is a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother has a terminal illness, and life at home must be a struggle." His 3rd grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if some steps aren't taken." Teddy's 4th grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is withdrawn, doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and he sometimes sleeps in class." Well, by now, Mrs. Thompson realized the problem. She was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in heavy brown paper that he got from a grocery bag. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing, and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was. Putting it on, she dabbled some of the perfume on her wrist, and Teddy Stoddard stayed after school that day just long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mother." After the children left, she cried at least for an hour. On that very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class. And despite her lie that she would love all the children the same, Teddy became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under a door from Teddy telling her that she was the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school 3rd in his class, and she was still the best teacher he ever had in his life. 4 years after that, she got another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he stayed at school, had stuck with it, and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he had ever had in his whole life. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further The letter explained that she was still the best and his favorite teacher he ever had, but now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. The story doesn't end there. You see, there was yet another letter that spring. Teddy said that he had met this girl and was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit at the wedding in the place that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did. And guess what? She wore the bracelet, the one with the several rhinestones missing. Moreover, she made sure that she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back. She said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one that taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." All of us have someone in our lives that inspire us, that make us want to do better, that make us want to be better. I have people in my life that have done that for me. Some of them are still here. Some have gone on. I would bet that each one of you have people that you look up to, that inspire you, that make you want to be a better person. Maybe they're still here, maybe they've gone on. But remember those people. Remember who they were, who they are. And every time you get a chance, be something special to pay them back for believing in you. That's what life is. That's why we celebrate life. To be something special. To pay back to those that inspired us, that gave to us, that made us a little bit better person than we were before we met them. Those are the people we remember today. Those are the people that we are caring about and thinking about. We don't need to be sad. We need to be happy because they had a chance to inspire us. And we have a chance to inspire others, to be their light, to be an example. Whether it be our friends here at camp, our teachers, our parents, kids at home, maybe people you don't even know yet. You all have a chance every day to inspire someone, to be their light, to make their day brighter, to make it happier. And if each one of you go out and do this when you get home, the world will be a little bit brighter. And if you do it every day, you can change the world. You will change the world to make it a better place. I believe that.